The Ayodhya verdict by Constitutional Bench of Supreme Court has raised several questions also. To talk more on this, I have with me Ashok Kumar Ganguly, who is a retired Supreme Court judge and has his own views on it. What is your take on the verdict that has now been, of course, revealed to the entire country and the world?
Well, I am a little perplexed and slightly disturbed. The reasons are this. You see, when the Constitution came into existence, and we became a socialist democratic republic based on secular principles. And we have guaranteed a freedom to practice and profess religion to everyone in this country, including the minority. On that day, there stood a mosque. This is undeniable. There is no question of any historical evidence. And what is also undeniable is that that mosque was demolished on 6th of December 1992 by sheer vandalism. And in the recent judgment of Supreme Court also it has been said that was an act of gross error and gross violation of rule of law. So in that scenario, question is, who has been wronged? Which community has been wronged? Obviously the minority community, to my mind, to the mind of any ordinary man, any right-thinking people, because their mosque has been demolished, which the government wanted to protect, for which criminal case is still pending. Over that, a constitution bench was also held, because at that time government acquired that land. That was challenged. Other things were challenged, I'm not going into that. That was challenged, and in that challenge, before the Supreme Court, the then central government published a white paper. A white paper was taken on the records of the Supreme Court judgment. And that white paper completely denounces the demolition and also said that a 500-year-old shrine was demolished. So there is an acknowledgement of the fact that the mosque was standing there for the last 500 years. Now today the Supreme Court has found through archaeological evidence that there were structures under the mosque. Maybe, but it has not found that those structures were Hindu structures. It has also not found that those structures had signs of Islamic designs. But there were structures. And the mosque was not built on vacant land. But it has not been found that by demolishing a temple, a mosque was built.
Does that also mean that justice has been denied in pure terms?
I can't say that. I cannot go to that extent. The court has found these are the following things which have been found by the court. One, mosque has not been built by demolishing a temple. Two, there is no archaeological evidence of temple under the mosque. Three, this demolition of the temple in 1992 is an act of gross violation of constitutional provision. Four, on the basis of archaeological evidence, title cannot be decided. Five, that namaz was being offered there, at least from 49, 50 onwards. And it is also held that a place where namaz is offered qualifies for being called a mosque. Now on what basis they have said? It is widely believed by the Hindus that the owner of the land is Ram Lala. So they have also held that you cannot give precedence of faith over right. But even then they have decided the rights, the question of title. They have held that we cannot go into the question of title on the basis of archaeological evidence. Then I am asking a question to myself, on what basis did they come to the conclusion that the land belongs to the Hindus? On the basis of faith. Can you decide on that? And ignoring the stark reality.
Does that mean that the reality has been ignored and only the question of faith has been answered, or does that transpire into more to it than what meets the eye in present situation?
These are the questions which are disturbing my conscience as a student of the Constitution. Because the Supreme Court is duty bound under the Constitution to protect the fundamental rights of everyone, including the minorities. Where does my right go? What will the people see? The people see, not only minorities, the people of this country, that there stood a mosque which has been vandalized and demolished in 1992. And on that temple today, the court is sanctioning the building. On that land today, the court is sanctioning the building of a temple. On what evidence that there was a temple? There was never a temple. Nobody can say that there was a temple and by demolishing the temple the mosque was built. The Britishers, because of in order to establish peace, they encircled the area by railing and allowed the Hindus to worship outside the railing. And then the court has also found that the sanctity of the mosque was violated by the Hindus in those days.
Does it mean that the entire sanctity of the judiciary...
I cannot reconcile the conclusion of the judgment with the fact it is found. They are not compatible to my mind. That is what is disturbing me.
You've been very close to the constitutional quarters, including a part of the judiciary for several decades. Does this judgment, does this verdict disturb you being a part of the entire system and raise question on where is it heading to, or has it been a question of being denied in the first place?
Well, I am no longer a part of the system, but I am disturbed, not only as a former judge, but I still go on reading Constitution. I write books. In my last book on Hindu law and the Constitution, I have criticized the previous Ismail Farooqi judgment, the majority judgment. I have already criticized and given it reasons why I criticize. So I look into this, and therefore I cannot reconcile. That's what is troubling me.
By any chance, do you feel that it is also the judiciary that has toed the political lines of the central government at some point of time in this verdict?
Well, I won't go so far to say that. I won't say that. I will not say that.
But has this tarnished the image of the Supreme Court despite the appraises that it is receiving from various quarters?
I won't say that either. Supreme Court is too big an institution to be tarnished by one or two judgments. It has been holding the Constitution principles, it has been holding it very high, and it has been establishing the principle. It is this Supreme Court which has held in Mumbai's case that secularism is a basic feature, not only a basic feature, is the soul of the Constitution. Present judgment of the Supreme Court has also accepted those principles, but its conclusion is something which I am saying is not compatible.
Something that you would like to change if given a chance in this
I wouldn't be given a chance. Naturally, I am retired long years ago. How can I change it? It's for the judges to change it if they feel like. I mean, it's for them to exercise their power.
Has it left you just too disturbed that this might just go down as one of the wrong precedences?
I won't say wrong, but to my mind, to my understanding may be flawed. My understanding may not be the last word. But to my understanding, as I have told you, the judgment leaves many things has left many questions unanswered.
Well, on a reality note too, it has left many questions unanswered and has raised not just brows but also multiple questions that needs to be answered in days to come. With camera person Tapas Berry, this is Manogya Loiwal in Kolkata for India Today.